Here's a pretty picture I painted some years ago, and it shows something that causes people an awful lot of problems. Guess what it is? Yep, it's hands. Now let me show you how to complete this hand. I've already completed the mast to save some time, and we can go straight in with the hand itself. Now the nail, there's only one. Oop, it's there. Now you can see you have to have very, very sharp pencils with this, and I've paid the penalty for that, but it's worth it. There's the nail. We can trim that back with the mask later on. Okay, now once the nail's in, then the rest of the hand can be started, and you do all hands the same way, whether they're big, small or whatever. The same principle. You may have to use different foundations as we did with the two faces I showed you, but basically it's the same procedure. The white goes on first. What that does is it just establishes the grounding. She's got a nice pink mitt, so therefore she has to have a nice English rose type base. Okay, that's it. Now we don't need very much more than that. We need a little bit of ivory on top. Now I'm showing the base in its entirety, but as we go on I shall skip a bit to save time on the video once you've seen it. But this is really an important part, so I really would like to make sure you get it. Now it's very tempting here to start thinking, oh, I better use blenders because I'm not going to get my finger in that. Look at my size of my finger. Try not to do that. Remember, you can always rub out. The reason I say that is because the finger is by far and away the best blender that you have. Now, don't worry too much about the bits that you can't get, especially close to areas like the mask, because you're going to have to use the white and the ivory, natural blenders in themselves, so they'll suffice. Okay, now that's a really good base, so let's start the colouring. The first colour we're going to use is the pink, same formula as before. Now this goes on generally, certainly not as strong as the white or the ivory, so I'll carry on with that. Now I've now advanced the hand and I'm finishing off the pink for you. I've put two other colours in, these two, to save some time, but let's just put the rest of the pink in. As you see, not a great deal, just enough to colour it off. And then what I've done with the next two, which is 189, I've started to develop the detail of the hand. A little bit around there, like that. Just start to shape it now. And just a little bit around here, just finish that bit off. Not a lot, you see, we're just really tickling it in. And then this one is the one that's going to start making the big difference in the detail. Whenever I pause slightly, it means I'm concentrating a bit more. And on a hand, believe me, you've got to do it. Something like this is very tricky and needs a bit of concentration or focus. Now I'm just going to identify the thumbnail, which I think is quite sweet there, holding onto the mask. And see that? Don't need a lot, just a little bit, but you do need a sharp pencil. Points are critical here, and just shape the hand a little better around there. Now that's ready to go. Now, how am I going to put my finger in that? I'm going to ruin it if I do, so we don't. We now use our ivory and our white just to use it as a blender. You see how that's working? Just to give the ivory, I'm going to use the ivory first because don't put too much white on there at the moment. See how lovely that's looking, how smooth it's looking. Now there we are. Now we need to put some darker colours in. First of all, a smidgen, and that's all, of the yellow ochre. Now this is 169, we haven't used this yet, but it's a colour again that can be very, very useful when you're looking for a grey, mauvey colour. Works very well in portrait work. And we can continue with that. I'm just going to continue with that, just putting a little bit of colour in, just a bit of shade, bit of tone, like that. I'll carry on with that. Now another colour that we can add to this is a 283. And again, all we're putting is just a little bit of colour, a bit of tone in. You see, I'm just really hardly touching it, but it's enough. A little bit on the back there. And just a smidgen of the pink that we've used all the way along the line. Now it looks as though you're almost ruining the hand, doesn't it, at this stage? But you're not, because back in comes the ivory and the white. Ivory to start with. And we want to leave, this time, we want to leave some of the shadow. That area there is quite light. Goes behind the thumb, and then we got two areas there. You can always go back in, you see, with the darker colours again. You keep going backwards and forwards until you get the desired effect. And then just round about there. That needs to just be shaded in. Now at this stage I've said don't put your finger on it, but actually I'm going to break that rule now, because you can just touch it, it just smooths everything together. I'm not rubbing it. And then the white goes in, and that just gives you the extra little bit of zip where you need it. You can see the difference. This is why we've waited. A little bit on that top of that. You see the thumbnail's looking very, very good, just along the top of the thumb in there. And grade as you did before, putting the palm in. And she's got her hand in a rather unusual position there. Doesn't worry us, as long as we're taking our time and our drawing is accurate in the first place, we've no need to worry. There you go, one little hand that looks not great, but it gives you the idea that's neat.